Hi guys, happy live, happy Wednesday. I apologize, I'm late. Life is busy, real estate's busy, and I've also missed the past couple weeks, so I apologize. I'm going to do my normal today, so I'm going to do your guys' questions and answers that have come in throughout the week, and actually a couple weeks, so I'll kind of take a few from the past few weeks since I've missed some and do happy news as well as real estate updates. So feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat and I can answer them, or I will just go through my normal. Okay, hope you guys are well and enjoying this more mild weather. The first question comes from John, and John is in Barrie. So John said, I'm renovating my kitchen and have not used my dishwasher in 23 years. Is it dumb of me to do a new kitchen without a dishwasher? Thank you for asking, John. You're funny. I don't actually use my dishwasher either. However, it would, hurt it. So I've seen before people, they have like a space for it and they don't use it and they just put like garbage cans in there or whatever. I personally would just have it already done, have the dishwasher in there. I don't care if you store chips in it. I don't care if you put your whatever junk food in it, etc. I would still have a dishwasher, okay? Even if you don't use it, it is way easier for resale if you have a dishwasher. So thank you for asking that. And I appreciate you not using it, but yes, please put it in your new kitchen reno. So again, for anybody that hasn't watched, I jump around from questions and happy news, and then I do real estate in the middle, and then happy news and questions at the end. So for happy news, I'm not sure how close you guys are to your friends, but there were 4 friends in Wyoming. They were all like 20 to 22, and they were looking for antlers. I guess there's $200 to $300 if they find antlers or something, and certain animals shed their antlers. I don't know. I'm not a hunter. I'm not anything. I don't know about that. So there's these 4 guys. They ended up splitting up, going 2 and 2, and the one stepped in fresh bear poo and was turning to his friend to say, careful, there's fresh bear poo. And literally as he turned, he got like sideswiped by a female grizzly bear, who eventually, he said he like kind of she ping-ponged him around on the ground, eventually had him pinned to a tree, and then his friend, instead of running off like many people would run off in that situation, his friend jumped on the bear's back, so the bear actually turned on him and ended up getting him way worse than the friend. The friend ran off, called 911, and eventually he played dead. Eventually the bear left him alone. He ran, stumbled down the hill and got airlifted off eventually with a helicopter to a hospital. And when his friend's dad said, like, you saved my son's life, he said, what did he say? He said he would rather, I wanted to see his exact words, but let me see if I can find them. He said, I would have rather died than gotten away knowing that I could have helped. So that is a friend that you want in your corner. It's amazing for this 21-year-old who saved his friend's life by risking his own. So I like that. Next question, and obviously they're both okay. Lots of scars, but he's good. Next question comes from Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen is in Bradford. So Mary Ellen said, I have 2 bathrooms, but neither have a bathtub. How much will this hurt me when selling? Thank you, Mary Ellen, for asking. So I personally have bought homes before that don't have bathtubs, so there are still buyers. But in an ideal world, if you had a bathtub would be amazing, just because obviously people with young kids, etc., or just people who like to take baths. I like baths in the winter, etc., when I'm freezing. But people do buy it. So as long as, if you just had a shower stall and there was no room to add a tub, that is going to hurt you. But if you have room, somebody could say, hey, I'll do it myself and whatever, but they might knock it off your price. And if you already took it into consideration, you're kind of getting dinged twice. Do you know what I mean? So, if you're up for a renovation, you could, but I would just, leave it as is, and hopefully somebody's in a similar situation to you, has maybe teenage kids or older kids, will use the shower downstairs and the parents don't want a bath, etc., and leave it up to the new people if need be. But thank you for asking. So I don't have any kids, but I would assume that if you had a baby, you'd have some kind of a bond between the baby and the mother. But imagine that the mother is in jail, incarcerated, etc. So there is this program, and they're in South Carolina, and they're in the music department. So they actually go in, they go to the jails, they meet the women that have, children under a certain age, toddler-wise babies, etc. And they find out their story, and they bring in like harps and cellos and violins and flutes and that kind of thing. And they make this whole little lullaby. It's called Lullaby Project. And they get their story and so forth, the message to the baby, and they record it. And then the baby has it like as a keepsake and what have you. And it's been really helpful. They've been doing it for 10 years. So I like that when they're looking at different options and so forth, and helping the kids that are a part of that. And of course the women, making them feel a little more connected to their kids. So I like that. Next question comes from Tanya, and Tanya is in Aurelia. So Tanya said, my parents want to move in with myself and my husband. They want us to turn our formal living room and dining room into a bedroom and bathroom, but I'm afraid it will hurt resale value. What do you think? Thank you, Tanya, for asking. I'm not sure your square footage. I don't know if you, I'm assuming obviously you have did you say a 2-story? I think it's a 2-story. So if you have a big enough footprint and your living and dining room, your other space is open and big, that's okay. You know, you could do that, and then you still have the basement and you have, space down there. If, for example, you have a basement apartment and that's kind of your only living space, I wouldn't really do it. But if you do have big enough square footage, it is actually, in bigger homes, etc., they do have an option for a primary suite on the main floor or a primary suite upstairs. So if, say, for example, you're 3,200 plus square feet, then I'd be fine with it. If you're only like 1,350 square feet and it's already tight on the first floor, I definitely wouldn't do it. But if you have the room, it's still okay. So I wouldn't see it as a detriment if you're over 3,200 square feet. So thank you for asking. I apologize. I'm rushing a bit. I have an appointment after, and, I'm a hot mess with my messy bun. So I just need to get ready for that. So anyways, I apologize if I'm rushing. So obviously we know what's going on with Ukraine and what's gone on there, and lots of people have fled the country. But 5 lucky students got a nice surprise the other day. So they were all given 4 years of university paid for. They were given their room and board. They were given food. They were given insurance, health insurance, as well as money for, March break, spring break, summer breaks, etc., all by a local philanthropist. And he has given over $17.8 million. For those people, he gave $2 million. That got divided between the 5 people, but he's given over $17.8 million so far. And he's a local real estate developer, actually. And he's helped over, let's see what it was. I had the number here, 1,800 students he's given the same thing to, and he's had over 3,600 extra people besides his money that they've said, hey, we'll help you as well, because they like his cause. So like that, and helping people. His main thing is students internationally that are coming from war zones to help them get ahead and a fresh start in the United States. So I love that. So jumping into real estate. Okay. So average home prices in the GTA are just under 1.1 million, which is almost double the average across Canada. So the average across Canada is 662,000 and change, 662,437 to be exact, but I just say 662,000. So almost double if you want to live in the GTA. So tons of people are leaving, their city, their town, sometimes even their province and their country, just because it is so expensive. So again, 662 is the average across Canada, and GTA is just under 1.1 million. Okay, and that was February 2023, by the way. We don't have March's statistics yet, because obviously March is not done. So like I said, lots of people are leaving. So we are, GTA is the second most, least affordable place to live, next to Vancouver. Okay, so that is that. So with the average being 662 across Canada, I'm going to go over where is underpriced to live and where is overpriced to live. So first, where is overpriced to live in Ontario? Unfortunately, Barrie came up, Kitchener, Waterloo came up, as well as the GTA and Hamilton and Burlington. So they came up as overpriced. So it's just saying over the $662,000 average. So they came up as overpriced compared to what the people make, because obviously Kleinberg, etc., they obviously have over $662,000 average as well, but maybe they have a higher income. Overpriced out of Ontario, there aren't as many. So it is just Fraser Valley, which is in BC, and then Vancouver and Greater Vancouver, and Victoria. And then underpriced in Ontario, there's actually still a fair amount. So Niagara counts as underpriced, Ottawa counts as underpriced, as well as Sudbury, London, and Windsor are all doing underpriced. And they basically, Sudbury was the cheapest at $401. And then, for example, London was $583, Windsor was $565, and Ottawa was $613. And then underpriced across Canada, there are quite a few options. So Halifax, for example, is $484. St. John's is the cheapest, $268, $400, which is crazy cheap. I've never been there though, so I don't know what it's like there. Quebec City was $315,300, which I think is amazing considering it's supposed to be like the Europe of Canada. Montreal was quite reasonable at $503,900. Winnipeg is averaging $329,900, and Regina is averaging $310,200. Actually, of the last 5 people that we've helped move, 4 of them are leaving the province, which is, a lot. Saskatoon, they're averaging $372,000 out there, $400 to be exact. and Edmonton's averaging 365, and Calgary 518. So these are all the places that are averaging less than 662,000. So that's obviously across Canada, but some people are like, okay, well, what's happening in cottage country, for example? So cottage country, waterfronts, etc. So a lot of people, during the pandemic were flocking from Toronto, and they were saying, hey, let's go up to, a beautiful place. It's cheaper than Toronto. We live on the water and so forth. And so that was the main draw to it back then. And obviously it had way cheaper prices than Toronto, but for all the local people around there, it was skyrocketing it because the Toronto people are coming in and they think it's an amazing price, but they're paying like way higher than the local people would ever pay or that it has ever gone for. So that is what happened. But in February, there were only 29 properties that were sold waterfront wise, and that's way down from last year. So it's down 62.8% to be exact from last year. And then the 5-year average is also down. So it's down 51% from the 5-year average. So there's not a lot of waterfront properties for sale. So if I break it down into different areas of waterfront, so for example, Muskoka, which is the first one I'm going to go over. So this is the third lowest amount of inventory they've had in the past 10 years. So that is basically sheltering them from the price correction that's happening in many places because there's not a lot of inventory. So that is helping them. So they're actually January and February of 2023 compared to 2022, it's actually up 27%. And again, that is in Muskoka. So their average waterfront right now is 1.7 million. Now, if we go to the Kawarthas, which is a bit south and east of Muskoka, you would think it'd be higher price because it's closer to Toronto, but it's actually not. They're averaging 700 to a million there for their waterfront properties. Then Bay of Quinte, which is actually between Kingston and Oshawa, they are averaging 800,000. And they're up 20% since December of 2022. So they're also up just like Muskoka. And a lot of people basically have been unsure like how, often will the interest rates go up and that kind of thing. So because Bank of Canada has put the rate hold, a lot of people are coming out of the woodworks and feeling more comfortable and confident in the market. So that's why, basically things have been going on and started to spur up interest a lot lately, but I'll go over that in a little bit. So Grand Bend is another location that's known for cottages. So they're basically on Lake Huron and they are north of London. So they had 39 waterfronts sell in February and they averaged $1 million for those ones. And now if you go half an hour north of those, that actually the price jumps up to over $2 million just going half an hour. I don't know that area very well, so I'm not sure why it goes up so much, but it's more popular a little bit north. And in 2023, so far, they're 14% higher, their average sales price, than 2022, the exact same time for January and February. So that's that. And last year, they were taking 13 days on average to sell. And this year, they're taking, this year, they're taking 15 days to sell. Okay, so that was in Grand Bend. So since the pandemic, so before pandemic, it used to be a lot of baby boomers in Grand Bend, and since then there's been a lot of more younger families, etc., going up there, getting the bigger properties, the cheaper prices, etc. So what has basically happened in the last week and a half, which might be why my brain is a little bit mushy, is it's been getting crazy again. So lots of people are like, real estate's alive and it's busy and whatever, and homes that have been sitting a long time are getting offers, and properties that were just listed are getting multiple offers and so forth. So that's what's been going on the last about 10 to 14 days. A house could have been sitting literally 74 days and then suddenly it has 3 offers, or it's sitting 212 days and it has an offer, or something like that. That's what's been going on. And then the ones that have been listing, and within 3 days they have 1 to 2 offers, which is very, not rare, but it's not what we've been having lately. So that is a nice change. And a lot of buyers are saying, hey, can I have my automatic search set up again? I'm ready. Bank of Canada hasn't changed. They're supposed to go down again in April. So that is something that has been happening as well. So with rates not going up with the last announcement, sorry, somebody's trying to get in my side door. I do know them, so it's okay, but the door is locked, so they can't get in there. So I can see them at the corner of my eye. But with that, announcement from the Bank of Canada saying, hey, it's not going up this time, and the next time it's probably going down, then a lot of people again want to get into the market, as well as everything going on in the States with their banks, etc. So before, economists were saying, hey, we don't think that the lowest of the low will be till the end of 2024. And now a lot of them are saying, hey, the lowest of the low might have already happened happened, and a lot of people are afraid the market's going to go up again, so they're trying to get in now before it goes up. So that's basically what's going on in the frenzy right now, with all the bank meltdowns and stuff in the States, and them saying that they're probably going to put the rates down here. So that has been happening. What else? So there was an economist that wrote a whole article about the 3 Ds of real estate. So he said divorce, death, and debt. So he said that keeps it going, but obviously we don't have inventory. We still have tons of immigration and so forth. And there's a lot of pent-up demand of people who have been like, hey, what's happening with the market? What's happening? And the interest rates keep going up. And now they're like, hey, they're not going up. They're going to come down. And then they're all excited to get back in. So that is basically what has been happening, and why lots of realtors are back to no sleep again, because it's been crazy busy. So of all the G7 countries, so Canada, the States, Italy, Japan, where am I missing? Germany, France, and the UK. Canada has the highest amount of debt for houses. So, let's just say, most people have 32% debt or whatever. Canada has the highest of all the G7 countries, which is not ideal. And so basically there was a study, and it showed people kind of who were born before 1980, they were always like, pay down the mortgage fast, blah, 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 just get to no mortgage. Whereas a lot of people after 1980, either one, they don't own, so they don't worry about it, or two, if they do own, they're not thinking about paying down their mortgage. They're like, hey, what payment is comfortable for me? Let's live here for a while. Let's get some equity built up in the house and then move somewhere else and get some equity built in the house. I like the house better, move somewhere else, and just keep repeating that process. They're not actually thinking about paying down the house, which back in the day, a lot of people were thinking about paying down the house, etc. So that is something that has changed. And, I'm just going over a lot of things with you guys. So that is that. What else has been happening? Sorry, I'm going off of common questions. I don't answer all the questions that come in, so I kind of go off of common questions that you guys ask. So kind of back to spring market. So there's some economists still that are saying about recession and the price is still going down till about mid-2024, but that I'd say is about 20% of economists, and the other 80%, there's often the 80-20 rule. So the other 80% are saying because of the interest rates staying the same, and because of the talk of them going down, and because of spring market, etc., they are seeing it going up, which is what we have seen, like I mentioned, the past 10 to 14 days. So a lot of them are seeing an upward projection this year. So that is good, because before economists were saying we wouldn't see it till the end of 2024, and then see it start going up. So that is that. Another reason they're saying it is because inflation is supposed to come down to 2.6% this year. So that, along with the Bank of Canada staying flat at the 4.5 and possibly down, is the main reason that 80% of economists are saying that we're at the lowest of low, and it's going to start to go up now, which is why all the people are trying to get in, saying, okay, it's going up, I need to get in before it goes up again, I can't afford it. So that is that. Ontario has almost the highest, basically, cost of living, next to, of course, Victoria and Vancouver, etc. So Doug Ford is still saying it's everybody's dream to have a white picket fence, etc. But there's still so many people that are leaving the province. And if you've watched any of my lives in the past few times or what have you, I've talked about the holes in that for his 1.5 million homes that he wants to have built by 2031. So I'm not going to get into all of that again. But yeah, lots of people are leaving the province just because of affordability. So yes, prices have come down obviously since the peak of 2022, but they are not down, from to before COVID levels or what have you. They're still up. So I know it sounds bad, but the only people basically losing is if they bought last year, March, April, etc. And if they were a buyer and a seller, then they sold really high and they bought high, so it kind of comes out in the wash. But if they were just a buyer, so they were a first-time buyer, then that really sucks if they had to sell right now. But eventually it'll come back up and it's fine, so they should just not sell right now if possible. If they can keep up with their payments, that would be the ideal world. So basically, who's had the biggest drops in Ontario, luckily or not, Simcoe. So it's Brock, Caledon, and what's the other one? Pickering. So they're down consecutively 37%, 36%, and 33%. So that is that, which is crazy. One of them had an average sales price of 1.864 in the height of the pandemic, in March, and now they're averaging 1.12. So I can't imagine buying a house at 1.8 something and now it's being, it's worth 1.12. That's craziness to me. The other place was averaging 1.124, and now they're averaging 713 for a similar sized home, which again is crazy. So that's again Brock, Caledon, and Pickering. So luckily not Simcoe County. Across Canada, so we know that the average now sales price is 662,000 and change. It used to be 816,000 and change last year, so that obviously has changed. That's a 19% dip that we have experienced, but again, it is up from the year before, up from the year before, up from the year before, etc. So it's again just the people that bought in 2022. What else? So many first-time buyers are still struggling to get a mortgage. But what a lot of them are doing are they're just saying, hey, prices are going to go up again. We just want to get in. So they're saying, we said we want a double car garage. We'll take a single. Or we said we want a detached. We'll take a link. Or we said we wanted a finished basement. We'll take no finished basement. Or we said we wanted to be 10 minutes from work. We'll take 45 minutes from work, etc. They just want to get into the market. So that has been a common thing that we have been seeing. And in the last week, for example, there was a condo that was listed for $699. It had 11 bids. There was a home that was listed for 2.8, had 5 bids. A few other ones that had, 2, 3, 4 bids, etc. So it's not 100% of the time, basically like last year was. It wasn't 100%, but it was like 99% of the time. Now we're back to, I'd say, about 15 to 20% of the time. So it's starting to pick back up. And again, like I said, it's getting crazy. So that is that. I'm going to go to a question. Actually, before the question, just a reminder that we do have our 1% listing commission. If you guys have any questions, feel free to call the office at 705-726-7000. We also guarantee that your home will sell. So if we can't sell it, we'll buy it for cash. To be honest, it's not ourselves buying it. We actually have investors out of Dubai and Japan and that kind of thing that they'll all pool in or buy it themselves. So we have that. And then also, if you don't like your next home, whether it's the neighbors or something, the size doesn't work for your family anymore or whatever, we will buy it back or sell it for free. So we have that just so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm not going to like the house or something else is going to come up better or the house isn't going to sell or anything like that. So all of that and our 1% commission, okay? Okay, so the question is from Jackson and he is in Innisfil. So Jackson said, I just can't ever seem to get in the market. Either prices are too high or interest rates are too high or both. Do you think I'll ever find something under $400,000 in Simcoe or should I just move away like everyone else? Thank you, Jackson, for asking. I wasn't sure what your price point was. If it's $400,000, you can still find stuff. I just sold a home, I forget if it was yesterday or the day before, for $405,000. I know it's not under $400,000, but it's pretty close. There's still lots because I was showing her lots in that price point. So it still exists. If you said like, hey, my budget's $220,000, obviously that is incredibly hard to work with in this area. But I mentioned like St. John's is $264,000 or, I've heard of condos in places being cheaper and whatever. Just take into consideration if you do a condo, you do have the extra fee, the condo fee, so that'll be obviously built into your mortgage, etc. But if you can do $400,000, they're still, around here. You're not going to be, right in the city center, but you might be in Midland or Port McNichol or, there's different areas. So I think you're still in the ballpark if you can afford $400,000. But thank you for asking. What else? Okay, anybody who knows that I love dogs. I don't, when people like flee countries and what have you, I didn't really know, what happens to the pets. Sometimes they get left, etc. There was a lady and she was from Afghanistan, and without getting into everything, basically this Islamic emirate took over, and women weren't allowed to live by themselves, and she lived by herself, and so did her mom, and she was like a female activist and all this kind of stuff. So she knew she was being targeted, so she knew she had to leave fast. She left her dog with her friend, and now she's in BC. She's been there for 10 months, and she just got reunited with her dog through SPCA. They did planes and planes out of there, all with dogs and cats, no people. So I just like that. And she said salam salam to her dog, which means peace and hello. So I like that. And her dog is named Lucky, who she actually saved from the street there. He was being stoned. And so she says, I saved him from being stoned. But he actually saved her, she says in the end. So I like that. Next question comes from Sandy and Jason, and they're in Barrie. So Sandy and Jason said, our mortgage is up to renew this summer. We heard there's a 5-year fix at 4.54, but are afraid if we lock in and it goes down, we'll be overpaying. What should we do? Thank you, Sandy and Jason, for asking. So I'm a real estate broker, not a mortgage broker. So I can, give you advice, but obviously a mortgage broker would be better at that. I would just be afraid that, say for example, 4.54, and yeah, what if it's 3.2 in 8 months or whatever? I don't know. So they'd probably be better to ask for that. Maybe also you could do a year or something like that. Or, look at your life if you're like, hey, we're planning on having kids or planning on switching jobs, etc., because the banks don't like when you switch jobs, and they're going to look at 3 years in total. So if, for example, you're planning on taking 2 years off for maternity leave, that's not going to make your average very good. So if you could speak to somebody just to give you a better idea, I would prefer that. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but thank you for asking. What else? Oh yeah, 2 sisters are back together. I have a half sister myself as well. So there were 2 sisters, and they were given up for adoption in 1946, right at the end of World War II in the UK. One went to the Netherlands, one stayed in the UK. And after one of their kids did like a DNA test or whatever, they were able to connect them. One doesn't speak very good English, but they've met, and they both like do crocheting and that kind of thing. But I just like that they met up again. They're the ones trying to learn her English, fine tune it a bit better so they can talk more. But I like that they were reunited, and they said they're going to spend the rest of their lives building their sisterhood and friendship and everything. So anyways, thank you guys for popping in. I have to run. Any questions, feel free to reach out, and have a super evening. Stay kind, be thoughtful to one another, and have the best night ever.